Hello, everyone, and welcome to ForcedToPod. My name is Sax, but you can call me. My name is Saxon, but you can call me Sax. I got that flipped up, but we're good. We're rolling with it. Joining me today, I have the man who knows no stranger nor pepper too spicy. 500 season, baby.
Yes.
What's going on, man?
It's 500 week.
Yep.
We are days away from the greatest spectacle in racing. Fresh off of one of the hottest and most controversial qualifying sessions in the past 40 years. There's a rookie on pole.
Okay.
Hasn't happened since like the mid 80s, I think.
And that's controversial, or that's just like exciting?
Well, it's exciting. And then there were two of the Pinsky cars, which are, some of the faster guys. Actually, one Pinsky driver, Scott McLaughlin, crashed in practice yesterday before the qualifying for pole. So he was automatically out for that.
Sheesh.
The other two Pinsky drivers had illegal parts on their cars and got disqualified from qualifying. And so I could take a long time to explain the format, but essentially everybody qualifies on Saturday, the fastest 12 on Sunday, then qualify again to see who's number one.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then the slowest, so there are only 33 cars will race in the 500, and anybody slower, like 31st on back, depending on how many entries there are, will qualify again on Sunday for the last row shootout. So it's very exciting to see like who's not going to make it. But those other two Pinsky cars got disqualified from the pole session, the Fast 12. So they were automatically going to be 11th and 12th. Well, then today they said, never mind, we're sending them to the back of the field.
Really?
So they're starting in the very back.
Wow.
And
legal parts.
Yep. And one of the drivers is the guy who's won the last two Indy 500s.
Really?
So it's going to be a good time.
Three-peat from the back?
How much does starting position determine?
It's
victory?
a lot. I think nobody's won from further back than like 26th or 28th place, and that was in the 1930s when the cars were like,
so basically
when they weren't going 240 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it really, I mean, yes, there's always a chance, but statistically, you must be in the top, call it 15, 20, some odd.
Yeah, essentially.
But increasing in likelihood the further you get to the front.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
interesting.
So what even goes into? I know obviously you put illegal parts on the car, but how does that happen? Like
they do.
How do you risk it?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Well, so that's part of the controversy, and I don't know if we should introduce Walker before I get into it, but
hi Walker.
What's up?
We're in here talking about parts on cars and putting stuff together. This is right up his alley. So
I love trees, but I love cars, so we'll skip the tree part this week and go right to the cars.
But hell no to golf courses. So
the golf courses.
That's where we draw our line.
I said my piece.
When it comes to Midwest sports adjacent activities, that's where he draws a hard line. He's like, we're cool with racing, but then you go anywhere.
Unfortunately,
whether or not golf is a sport is immaterial.
Bro, you're gonna piss some people off. You already pissed people off a couple weeks back.
No. Whether or not it's a sport, fine. We can have that argument. I still hate it.
Get the Venn diagram back out.
That's fair. You'll be disappointed to know I am golfing on Saturday before we go to the race.
I will be disappointed.
Dude, you're gonna be so. Do you tan real well, Nick?
Yeah, I'm. I don't know if we've talked about it live before, but I do have Mexican heritage. Reagan and I both tan. You could probably see the difference in my skin just from being outside.
Will you be tan?
Camera.
Yeah, right.
No,
yeah.
That was why I did it.
He did that. There you go. Woo. But yeah, I guess you're going to be red first. I'm assuming.
No,
you go straight dark.
Well, when I'm out on race day, I'm putting on 50.
Gotcha.
Several times. Okay, I'm not. Well, my wife has skin cancer. I don't know if we've talked about this. She has a little spot of melanoma. She's actually getting it cut out in a couple weeks.
Nice.
The good news is the specialist told her it's basically the least amount of cancer you could have to still qualify as having skin cancer. But yeah, so she's got to get a little spot cut out on her leg. But yeah, I've been sunburnt to a crisp so many times that that's the first thing we do. We get to the stands, everybody puts on sunscreen. You do it 2 or 3 times throughout the day. I don't care if I get tan. I just would rather not get burnt.
Dude, it's the worst.
It's not worth it.
How do they cheat? How did this happen?
Okay, so there's a little even more controversy surrounding that because there are pictures, and the winning car from last year has this part that's been modified.
What is the part, first of all?
So it's an attenuator on the back of the gearbox. And essentially, it's a spec part that all the cars have to have the same one. And let me see if I can.
So, okay, now I have to go ask another question. There are parts that must be identical, but then areas which the teams can adjust to like compete as part of the competition.
Yeah, so IndyCar is a spec series. There are basically the only thing that you can have different than other cars is your engine manufacturer, which are both technically made by the same person.
Okay.
It's Chevy and I can't remember what the other one is. Honda, I think. And then you can set up your dampers and springs and your suspension differently, but they're all the parts are the same.
Okay, but you can tune your suspension.
Yeah, and they like different teams run different oil compounds, for cooling and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. But really minor or relatively minor elements that.
Yeah, it's not like Formula One where you just
Here's a wee ball. Here's a whole new car.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm trying to find a picture on the Twitters real quick.
Derailing things that I'm interested in understanding.
This is right up my alley. I gotta get it out.
Sorry for asking you about your special interest there, bud.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about cheating a lot tonight. So
I can't talk about it with my wife. She doesn't care. So I got to talk about it somewhere. All right, here's a good picture.
Sometimes I start talking about dumb things with Chloe, and she's like, that's nice.
Where's the old chat?
I know you can't say this, but bless her heart. That's
well,
that's a big skew in the show.
All right, I'm going to share my screen real quick.
All righty.
Right here. Okay. See this?
I do see that.
All right, so this is the attenuator, right? This is supposed to have
truck nuts.
Right. This is supposed to have a gap, and this is the illegal one where they've molded this with carbon fiber or whatever.
They just slap some JB weld on that.
Yeah, essentially, it's two separate parts that slide into each other, and they've filled this gap to create a little bit of an aerodynamic benefit.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but it's illegal. You can't do that.
So not fair enough.
Right.
Unfair, in fact.
You can't do that. They do a pre and post tech inspection of the cars, and somehow this wasn't found last year. There are pictures of the winning car from last year in the IMS museum where the attenuator is. Okay. Yeah, and apparently they didn't catch it or whatever.
That's crazy.
People think maybe they did catch it after the race and they didn't want to have a controversy or whatever. So they caught it, and basically the Pinsky crew, like the pit crew, were trying to remove that on pit lane prior to qualifying, which is also against the rules. Once you roll up, you can't change the specs of your car.
Even if it's illegal. Right.
Yeah.
You just got to take your licks and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's been a whole thing, and it's compounded by the fact that the first race of last season, I think all three of the Pinsky cars, but on the road courses, they have this button that's called push to pass, and it basically gives them a little bit of extra horsepower, and they get a certain amount of it during the race. So it like spins the turbo faster or whatever. I don't know exactly what it does, but it makes them go faster. And so you only get a certain amount, and you can only deploy it for a certain amount of time, like at once.
And so literally a boost meter.
Yeah. And the Pinsky cars during the St. Pete race last year at the beginning of the year, something was quote unquote not right with their electrical setup on the car, and they had the ability to use push to pass longer and more than the rest of the cars, and so like they had to vacate that win. It was a whole thing, and so now this happens this year. It's been interesting.
Rough. Yeah, rough goes for Pinsky.
Yeah, I mean, they win.
But it feels like it's on them.
Well, right? And Roger Pinsky owns the IndyCar series and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so it's just this whole storm of like
I'm seeing some.
It's very messy.
Yeah,
I don't need to make a crazy psycho cloth wire board whatever thing to see the writing on the wall.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting that it's I guess that it got flagged. I'm just so used to people not getting, like, I don't know, you're that high up. It's like, you just get away with that crap. So
I guess
I guess good that they're getting penalized.
It'd be interesting if checks and balances work.
Well, and the president of the Motor Speedway, Doug Bowles, who should be the president of the United States, he even came out and made a statement. And he was like, "This is absolutely the right call. We want good racing. We want everybody to do well, but we want it to be done fairly." So, it's just fun. A lot of fun stuff happened this morning. If you're into,
at least it's exciting.
That.
Well, that came out today.
Yeah, that all happened this morning.
Wow.
Well, we found out yesterday during qualifying that they failed tech, but we didn't know why.
Oh,
and then they said today, and then everything started unraveling. So
yeah.
You coupled that with the fact that we won our first tournament game in softball tonight.
Let's
go. It's been a pretty good day.
Let's go.
Hell yeah.
That one was for Coach Steve. Appreciate you.
Shout out. So actually, we might have to send that love over to Mama Stacy, because she took a tumble yesterday. She got back home, she's carrying some stuff in. I was playing volleyball, got a text just from my dad. I didn't see it. My mom's in the hospital, like in a hospital bed. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
thanks,
this
Dad.
is what, no context, no nothing. It's just it's just her sitting in a bed. Like, she wasn't asleep or anything. Like, she was awake or whatever. But like,
hi, honey. Yeah.
well, not thumbs up. She thought she broke something in her hand. Thankfully, it was just like a bad sprain thing. But yeah, I was just like, what are we doing here? I was like, why am I coming home? Why am I getting off my volleyball, like off the court, getting in the car? I don't even check my phone. I'm just covered in sand. So I try to get home as fast as possible, get in the car, get there, and I'm about to like hop in the shower, look at my phone just for a split second, and I'm like, okay, well now
I got to deal with this.
So this was like 40 minutes ago.
You opened your phone and it was literally just a picture of your mom.
Just a picture of my mom.
No sentence.
From Dad. So I don't know how you guys, what your communication with your parents looks like, but for me, it is just like Dad and Mom, group text, and then individual phone calls. Like, that's all we really do. So like, and I have that like pinned at the top. So realistically, like, usually stuff just comes in there, and I don't do like a lot of just like one-on-one texting with my dad. Usually it's just phone calls, whatever, or it's in the group chat. I think this was just like a direct text from my dad. Maybe it was in that group text, but anyways, all I just see, Dad, no words under it. It literally was just the picture of my mom.
Classic dad behavior. Right
I'm like,
there.
thanks for that. Appreciate that. So,
although that's kind of better than like getting a call about it. Like, you get a text about it, you're like, you know, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Like, thanks, Dad, for letting me know, but.
Yeah,
maybe do it better.
I do think if I would have got, like, because it wasn't, I mean, it was serious, but it wasn't like that serious.
Yeah, you maybe would have gotten a phone call or something.
Yeah, if I would have got a phone call, and then I'm still not sure I would have got notice of it, because it was like my stuff was over like on the table or whatever, and we're out playing. Right. But regardless.
But if you come out of the volleyball sand and you see that you missed a call or several from your dad, you're gonna know. Or even if it was just one, you call him back on the way home, right? Like, don't text and drive, but you can call and drive hands free.
Oh, for sure. So, yeah. So that's what we were doing. We got absolutely roasted yesterday though by the sun. We're playing at right behind that blind squirrel. That's where we've been playing. So, Walker, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but basically there's just like a ton of people who enjoy playing like sand volleyball here in Louisville, just all over the place. So like all kinds of like pubs and restaurants and stuff. They
all have volleyball courts.
They just have like sand volleyball, and like the more the better. Like, you just get it, and you can find. It's awesome, man. We've loved doing it. I think this is like our 5th or 6th season. Usually like 8-week stints that we've played, and so we're playing.
I've heard you talk about it. I just didn't know it was like a thing. I kind of thought it was more niche.
Nope.
No, that place. What he's talking about, it has like, doesn't have several courts, and like, isn't one of them covered or something like that?
Yeah. So I was gonna see. Let me see here. King Louis.
That's some serious volleyball. I don't think I've ever played volleyball except for in like 5th grade gym class or whatever.
Except for when you were in the Top Gun program in the 80s.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. That's why I can't talk about my job.
That would be a valid reason. I haven't been given an actual valid reason quite yet. So
less valid because I did at one point have a security clearance. You can tell me.
I'm actually Tom Cruise.
He's good for it, man. He's good for it. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find a good picture of it, but yeah, just imagine a volleyball court or like 3 volleyball courts, sand volleyball, and then they have around the outside they have like really nice like I don't know, like paver type seating. It's almost like Coliseum style seating. Like you can go in and stuff, and they'll have things kind of surrounding it. So,
fall to the death.
Well, so yesterday, I don't know, just notoriously early to stuff. We just show up like whatever. I don't ever want to be late to something. Rolling up and doing that because you don't want to be that guy, right? Like we had the last game yesterday, so I don't want to be in a situation where it's like, okay, well they've been done for like 20 minutes or somehow. Like they never get early, but like I always have that in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, they're going to be waiting on me to like get out there, and I like to just whatever warm up, get ready. And so we get there early. It wasn't that hot out. It was like 75, but then like something about us going down by the sand, it just got significantly hotter, significantly quicker, and we just didn't even think about it. And I'm okay with that, but Heather, she was getting cooked out there. So like we found a little place like to stand in the shade and stuff. But after like the second game or stuff, she's like, "Hey, I need a second." She's like, yeah. So she was able to do that, but she rallied. We got back. We got the dub. So it was a good time. So boys,
yeah, no, it's hot as here. We
I'm
got
sure
our first
it is
100-degree day of the year.
Did you really?
This weekend, yeehaw,
Holy.
Texas, baby.
I mean, I guess it is middle of May. It's just been relatively mild here.
It actually has been. This is not that bad.
Well, Sax, we keep getting hounded with incredible inclement weather. That just drives we'll have a couple hot days and then freaking 18 tornadoes, and then it'll cool off again.
Yep. What do I need to expect for the end of June in Maine?
Chilly in the evenings.
Chilly? Let's go.
It's Maine, bro. Look, it's going to be 75 in the day, and then at night it's going to get into the mid 50s.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever been more excited to go to a summer wedding. So
Maine is the best. I truly cannot overstate how great my home state is.
That's awesome.
Went to a summer wedding on July 4th in Indiana, and that
sounds awful.
It sucked. It was very hot. It was also in 2020, so
sheesh.
It was COVID.
I think we might have talked about this before.
Outdoor. It was the same venue that we got married at. But
that's when we talked about it before.
Golly, it was. God dang it, Corey.
Average temp is like 75 to 80, and then in the evening like 50 to 60.
Jeez, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I've been taking this approach of like Heather's excitement level to go to Maine is like through the roof because it just has been, and then like perfect like storm of reasonings obviously, but then like I just kind of rode along. So she's like, "Hey, this is where we're going, this is where I want to stay, whatever." I was like, "Cool, that's fine." Get everything going, and I'm just like, you know what, I believe her, right? Like she said, "Hey, I want to go all these places." She's lined up all those things, and she's super excited. So I'm like, I know I probably should be super excited. So, but I'm not looking into stuff. I'm just like, I'm just going to go. But that's the first thing I was thinking. I was like, is it going to be real hot? Because it's just real hot here, like late June. So,
I mean, I do remember one day it got up to 100, but like, I remember it, and it was one day. That I remember. From my
that's why you remember it. Yeah.
Decades ago.
It's like the people that live in northern Florida where it snowed one time.
Exactly. It was exactly like that. I was at the zoo that I remember every minute of that day vividly.
Yeah. Just hanging out in the penguin exhibit all day.
No, it's not the zoo. It's called it's called Gray's Animal Farm, but it's like a low tier Maine zoo. Okay. Not low tier, small. It's delightful, but it's got a lot of like Maine animals. So you can go see moose, and you go see black bears, and you go see, all that sort of thing.
Nice.
Mountain lions,
cougars, pumas.
Interesting.
Not panthers.
Not panthers.
Nope. So
I did sorry to derail you, Sax.
Oh, you're
I'm
good.
trying
You're
to
good.
move on. I did another Wikipedia animal deep dive today to truly learn the difference between vipers and elapids. So, in case you want to know, elapids have fixed fangs on their skulls, and vipers they fold.
So that means rattlesnakes are vipers?
Yes,
Mm.
in that categorization or classification or whatever it is.
Interesting. I'm actually shocked I didn't know more about that.
I didn't realize vipers was like an umbrella statement. I thought that was like a particular snake. I didn't realize that was a overarching thing.
So you got your pit vipers,
True
your other
vipers.
vipers.
Yeah, non-pit vipers.
I actually know little about venomous. Venomous snakes are not really like my favorite thing.
They're so cool.
I love
snakes.
love my amphibians, but doesn't matter. Have you ever seen a Sicilian?
What? Like a person?
It's your other form of amphibian that nobody talks about.
Oh,
not Sicilian. Sicilian. CAE.
Oh.
It's spelled. Yeah, it's spelled.
See, the first time you said it different. The second time.
Oh, no, I absolutely baited you guys.
Yeah, okay. Sicilian. I thought we were kind of going back to the Pope talk. Like I thought that you were taking us back.
The Pope is an amphibian in a robe.
These look slimy.
There's your hot take.
He's reptilian. He's one of those.
No, they're amphibians. They're not reptile.
No, the Pope is a reptilian being.
Lizard people.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole conspiracy. Yeah. Okay. That's actually I'm amphibian conspiracy, not lizard conspiracy. Doesn't make sense.
There you go. Well, boys, we've been playing a little bit. Well, Nick, so you downloaded it, but you've not touched Doom yet, have you?
It's loaded and ready to go on my Xbox, but I have not touched it. Now, the good news about us winning our softball game tonight and not going to the losers bracket is that we do not have to play tomorrow. So I will have hopefully ample time to get really pissed off at Doom Dark Ages. Yeah,
use them. I'm actually probably going to do it too. I find myself every time I fired up Doom in any capacity, I get caught up because I know there's like collectibles and stuff all over the place, and I'm the type of guy like I desperately want to find them on first pass, but I don't think I'm going to let myself do that this time. I want to see it through, and then I know those games, like the levels really aren't that long, and you can go through like
sure.
Yeah, you can go through and stuff. So that's kind of the approach
Perfect.
I'm trying to take to be able to go through.
I actually was thinking the same thing to myself earlier, because if you just like let it have it, just go after it, it really, the tempo is awesome. And then if you're like wandering around with your head up your ass trying to find the like extra gold or whatever the hell, it really takes it out of the game, honestly.
Well,
I'm totally with you on that.
That's how I played Diablo. Just cruising through the campaign, not trying to collect all the extra stuff. I did a little bit of the season DLC and whatnot, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of excited. What was the last one? Doom Eternal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to play it and I suck so bad. It was like, it made me mad how bad I was, because I haven't historically like spent really any time playing Doom. Like I'm familiar with the franchise, but I haven't spent a lot of time playing it. So
it's hard. Like it's hard in a different way than a lot of other games are hard.
Yeah, that's why I didn't play it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's very distinct. You kind of just gotta like switch to a different mindset.
It's
Walker,
like
get good.
Are you playing on a controller?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been playing mouse and keyboard. I don't love the control scheme for it. Like, because they have like your firing is left trigger, and then your shield stuff is is left click. Your shield stuff's right click. It just feels odd.
It's inverted. It's inverted from the hands they're in.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be.
Ugh.
But then I also wouldn't want to fire with my middle finger anyways.
Of course not.
But
like,
unless if you're left-handed, that would be nice.
Yeah, it just feels weird doing because I know it's a defense mechanism, but it's also an offense piece too. Right?
There's no such thing as defense in Doom.
I know, but the concept of putting a shield out and stuff like that.
Technically, you can block with it if you're a loser.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I don't know. it's one of those things I'm thinking about next time I go on. I'm thinking about using controller for it and just giving it a shot that way.
It's much better.
It sounds like the perfect opportunity, Sax, to buy a new Xbox controller.
I'm looking at my shelf. I got a little Master Chief, dude. I got from like a Christmas thing. It's holding my 20th anniversary controller over there, just begging for me to use it. And then Heather's been, as she's been still playing through Claire Obscure
on the TV.
Expedition 33 on through the Xbox LG TV. She cannot say good enough things about it. It is so sick. I love that it's holding true. I was like, I don't know, is it gonna, when she gets to like higher difficulty things, is it gonna get harder for whatever? She hasn't had any issues. So
mark of a good game.
Yeah, that and just a good technology, being able to get that stuff through there. So
so like more dense levels or whatever still are streaming.
Well, because there's a lot of parrying and a lot of stuff. Even though it's a turn-based game, like where you choose your attacks individually, when the enemy attacks you in Claire Obscure, like you can parry it, perfect dodge, stuff like that.
Interesting.
And so the latency through the LG TV Xbox app, if that was terrible, she would not be able to do it, right? Like, and I'm watching. I picked it up. I've ran the characters around. Like I've not tried to parry or do anything of that sort. But I mean, I've ran around just fine, and it's very impressive. I'm very impressed by it. So.
Well, if my basement TV ever goes out, I know what kind I'm replacing it with.
Yeah, I think you might have to. So,
you have to make it a smart TV though, right? I like my dumb TV.
I don't even know if you can buy dumb TVs anymore.
I had to.
I think it's hard.
My TV to make it stupid.
I
may have had to
take
components.
TV. He's sitting there with a soldering iron taking off of the main board.
Look. It still works, and it doesn't connect to the internet. So I have no ads on my TV, which is a flex these days.
Yeah,
that's true. The home screen on my Roku TV is always telling me what movies are available on Tubi or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Roku City is such a vibe when it pops up and it starts doing the thing. Yeah.
I have the one. It's got all the like kaiju on it.
Oh yeah.
It's got like the Kraken and stuff.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're going to talk more about Doom. Hopefully next week. Hopefully we can all get time to do it and stuff. We'll have to figure out when we're recording next week because it's a holiday and 500 and all that stuff. So we'll do that. We'll figure that out. But next week we'll talk about Doom Eternal. Or no, Doom the Dark Ages. Maybe a little Eternal. We'll compare contrast to all that. So, but this week, boys, I kind of prepped you guys earlier. I want to get into just the main topic. And just kind of discuss. So before I want to set the groundwork here, Walker, I know obviously you and I have both played a lot of Destiny.
A lot of Destiny.
Nick, what is your background with Bungie games? Like, did you play a lot of, I think we've talked about this before. I can't remember, like with Halo and stuff like that back in the day, or did that kind of miss you? Because it kind of missed me, honestly.
So. I played all of the Halo through Halo 4.
Okay.
That was the last one where I really spent time like playing with friends, playing online. And that was kind of, so like, I think I've talked about it before. Halo 3 came out, I think my senior year of high school. I only skipped 2 days my senior year of high school. One of them was to go to Carb Day for the Indy 500 with my buddy Mitch. And there's a small segue there. We saw Dan Weldon driving the National Guard car, which is before I ever decided to join the military. I actually had tank tops made this year with his like livery and logo on it. So we're going to wear those to the race. And then the other day I skipped was the day that Halo 3 came out. And I skipped with a couple friends and went to a buddy's house and played all day. And then drove back and picked up my brother from school and went home.
Nice.
And then I played that my freshman year at IU, which was the following fall. Basically every day when I got back from class, I go back to the dorm and fire up the 360 and play Halo 3.
Gotcha.
So I've played a little bit of Infinite. We've played together. I played through the campaign, but other than that, I haven't really been, I have a lot of stuff to do. So I haven't really been keeping up online.
Yeah. So you were there for the Bungie years.
Yeah.
One, 2, and 3. And then they peeled off from there. So
yeah, we were connecting the original Xbox together and having LAN parties at my cousin's house, staying up till 4 a.m.
Sweet. So basically what I want to get into tonight is there's this situation that has arisen, and then I want to talk a little more holistically about like what are our estimations, what's going to happen to Bungie. Okay, so I wanted to kind of set the groundwork. Like, we have a lot of history with Bungie games, things of that sort. Obviously, I'm the most ingrained in it at the moment. Walker and I have both spent a lot of time in it. I'm very, very deep into the Bungie stuff, and then Nick has that background as well. So, laying the groundwork here, I'm actually going to show this off because we have the technology to do it. But this is an article from Paul Tassi at Forbes that kind of outlines what's going on at Bungie right now. And so they have, I guess I'll even lay a little more context here for you guys at home. Essentially, Bungie, they were the creators of Halo, but even before that, they had games that they created on the Mac way back in the day, Marathon, and then they had some other games that aren't coming to mind for me right now, but they had old Marathon games, which just were first-person shooter games, were actually very innovative back in the day. And then they moved on, started to create Halo. They were picked up by Microsoft to actually launch that with the original Xbox. Was an incredible hit. It was like the first game that actually used a controller for shooting, for first-person shooters, because everything was mouse and keyboard until that point, and then not even close to the mouse and keyboard we have now, like that, just to give even further context. And so it kind of allowed that, and then they ended up peeling off from Xbox. Xbox maintained Halo, the rights to Halo, and that's when they created 343 Industries, now Halo, or like Halo Game Studio, whatever. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's just like Halo Games or whatever. And then they created Destiny in conjunction with Activision. So they kind of got out of bed with Microsoft and fell right into bed with Activision, and so they started making that. Well, that was in the peak, even though Call of Duty still goes crazy, that was in the peak years of year after year Call of Duty success. And so they kind of put Bungie into this situation where they said, hey, we want you to annualize Destiny. So essentially said, like, hey, we want original Destiny, 2 expansions off of that, and then we want Destiny 2. 2 expansions, and then we want Destiny 3. Like that's just how they were rolling it, because that's what they were doing for Call of Duty. They actually wanted it faster than that, and that's what they negotiated that down. So they ended up, after getting pushed into, so they had Destiny 1, 2 expansions, Destiny 2, and they kind of hit this point where they're like, this is not sustainable. Like, we can't do this. They peeled away from Activision. Everyone says, oh my gosh, the issues with Destiny, the microtransaction issues we had with Destiny, all this, that, and the next, all of this was Activision's fault. Everything's going to, and I mean, we were right there, Walker. We were in the trenches with it. I don't know if you remember how you felt that time, but I felt, I was right with everyone else. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to make such a better game. Bungie's independent. They did. So they basically bought themselves out again. So I guess the point of going through this history is showing that, okay, they got out from Microsoft, but then they fell in with Activision, right? And then they got out of this thing with Activision, and then they were free and clear by themselves, but then they had to reduce what they were doing. And some of the best content they ever made for Destiny was with Activision, because they had these support studios that were coming alongside them. So these groups that are now helping Activision get all of these games out, all these Call of Duties and Warzone and all these different implementations, now they didn't have access to them. And so we've reduced down this workforce and what they can do, but we've already set expectations on the level of which we're going to do. And then not only that, we start hearing at that time that they're peeling off half the company to start working on Marathon. And so Marathon is basically a revival, or it's like a spiritual successor with the same name of the original Mac way before Halo even came out. And so if you don't know what Marathon is essentially a what's known as an extraction shooter. Think you land on a map, you kill stuff, you kill bots and you loot and do this kind of stuff, and then you try to get to a certain point on the map and get out safe And if you do, you get to keep that stuff. But if you die, you lose everything that you came in with. And so it's a little more hardcore. And they're like, well, let's go in and let's take a really stylized approach and have like a real new tech, like new age aesthetic, like really color poppy, all this stuff. And that was really a key differentiation between them and like Escape from Tarkov and these different games that do this. And so we get to this point where, they do their full reveal. People are a little lukewarm on it, but I was excited. I wanted to see the music was cool. The aesthetic is really cool of what they're doing. And that's the key. The aesthetic is cool, and that's the differentiation, right, for this game. But then people get in and start playing the game, and they're going to do this closed alpha, and then they decide to, after they did like a live stream reveal, everything was kind of lukewarm, and they're like, well, you know what? Let's just open it up. Let's let people stream it. Because they were going to have people like, I tried to get in, and so if I would have got in, I would have been technically under NDA, not being able to talk to anyone about the game, not being able to disclose anything to anyone about what was happening, but it would have just been like server side tests for them to make sure that was good, and then I could probably give feedback, stuff of that sort. And they said, you know what? F it. Let's just let everyone stream what they need to and get that out and get the hype going. And it worked for the first couple of days, but then they did a terrible job rolling out codes. I knew one person, Jay, in our clan, is the only person who got a code to Marathon. I don't even know if he used it. I don't even know if he played. I don't even know if he cared, but he got one.
Probably just played Fortnite instead.
Yeah, probably. And so it's just one of those things like they've kind of just like they keep dropping the rake and stepping on it, and it hits them in the face, and then it drops on the other side of them. They step and it comes up. So that is the longest intro to what we're actually talking about. What's been on screen is it came out this weekend that Marathon, the whole aesthetic of Marathon, textures in game, all sorts of stuff have literally just been ripped from this woman's like portfolio from 2017. So I'll read this off for you in case you're just, you're driving and you're not paying attention, to the screen. Marathon developer Bungie has been accused of and has now admitted to stealing artwork used in the current build of Marathon from an artist who first published the work in 2017. That artist, her name is Anti-Real. She posted several comparisons of her work to existing Bungie Marathon assets, which go far beyond inspiration and are often one-to-one lifts of images, words, symbols, and even Anti-Real's own personal logo. So
now that's just lazy.
Yeah.
So it's just one of these things. So like,
I'm looking at her art now, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's not the same sack. Some of them are upside down.
Yeah, they flipped it upside down. So there's one that's insane. Boys, it's insane. The yellow one here, if you're watching, you can see it's yellow backed, has the number 28 on it. And then it has this rectangle, this black rectangle, and then in it, basically like a negative. So like yellow background, black rectangle, and then you have under it says Anti-Real Daily Series. And then there is a black and green, so they've inverted the colors. And then they tried to like blot out the Anti-Real Daily Series on there.
Still see it.
But you can see it. And it literally has the 28, has this little stylized arrow over to the side. They literally use the exact same. So it says, within a matter of hours, this began to spread virally. Bungie issued a statement saying it was a former Bungie artist. No context for what that former is like Sisyphean right there, holding up like that boulder, and that thing is about to roll. Bungie issued a statement saying that former artist who included the decals in a texture sheet ultimately went into the game. And the issue was supposedly unknown by the existing art team, which is a whole other thing because Bungie has had numerous rounds of layoffs. And I think when we've heard of them, we just assumed that those layoffs were only affecting Destiny, like the Destiny team and stuff like that, because we didn't know anything about Marathon and what was happening, what was shared between. But so if this is true, that could be what the case is. But The other thing that's crazy is the current art director for the game has followed her for years, this anti-real person. Now, there's been some stuff that says that, so back up to 11 years ago, his name is Joseph Cross. Up to 11 years ago, his portfolio shows very, very similar art style work, like body work, armor sets, things of that sort in this style. And so there's a lot of people who are saying that's not necessarily the most damning evidence, right? Like, because she's in the same realm and like they make similar stuff. And, you know, I'm sure you follow a lot of, you know, different people who do that portfolio. But she came out and these were the words she said. She said, this is one of her statements. She said, Bungie is, of course, not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I have refined for the last decade. But clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their game without pay or attribution. I mean, it's insane, guys. And so we're at this place where I don't know. So let's continue down the history of Bungie, and then I want to kick it to you guys. So before this even happened, right? So we had a couple years back. I guess now it was close to 5 years ago. It was late 2020, I believe, when it came out that Microsoft was going to buy Activision Blizzard and take all that in. And then about 2 months later, we hear that Bungie is being acquired by Sony. So Sony has now taken this company that was on their own, you know, an infant of a company, taken them in by Microsoft. You know, they were brought in, made Halo, brought to fame in that instance, got too big for their britches, so to speak, decided they wanted to go on their own. I don't know all the details behind that. So, you know, maybe that's not a fair assumption. I have no idea. Leadership has changed so many times with both companies at this point. Like, it doesn't even matter. They go on their own. They go out with Activision. And then they get too big for their britches again. They leave that deal. And now they find themselves in a situation where they're, you know, it came out and they twisted it, right? And they said, oh, all our employees are getting big payouts and they're getting like equity stuff, you know, type dealings with this payout, this like between $3 and $4 billion payout that they were getting, like, to be bought out by Sony, which that is the single largest like transaction in Sony's history, right? Like, and that's an enormous gaming industry transaction in general for Destiny 2, which has been out, and then Marathon, and then there was one game that was in incubation that Sony has now ripped away from Bungie. They basically like sequestered a team that was at Bungie, and they created a new studio, which they announced recently, which is called like LFG Studio or something like that.
Let's go.
Right. Yeah. So, but they say it's looking for group is what it stands for. So whatever. So I guess I have a lot of really strong, like, you can tell, obviously you can hear, like, I have very strong feelings on this, but Walker, where's your mind with all this?
Yeah. I mean, oh God, I love Destiny. I do. It's one of my, I mean, by play hours, it's my favorite game by several orders of magnitude. Okay, that's exaggeration, but it is literally one order of magnitude. I've actually played time spent in Destiny or whatever, like 3,000 hours. Steam says like 6,000 with the loading screens and whatever, but I've spent like 3,000 hours in Destiny activities. So clearly there was enough there for me. And they have a real history of just themselves. They just can't. I don't know. Time and again, it really does seem like they just do something that is not, you know, not right. Things that are, you know, firing a whole bunch of people, and, you know, they just justifications and everything for all of it. And I'm not in the meetings and I don't, you know, understand what everything looks like from the inside, but at least the optics of a lot of these choices have just been very poor. And it feels like many, many times they've just been on damage control.
Yeah.
And I'm just not, you know, it's just kind of tiring. And I feel like I've given them a lot of leeway because they make a great game.
Yeah. Yeah,
They make a damn good. I have yet to play a video game that feels as good as Destiny feels from like
yeah,
yeah.
a gun shooty like
It's really
the
good. The
how
tempo of it is
seamless
really good.
things are. That's the thing for me that I mean, Nick, you and I, we've played a little bit of Destiny, like the tiniest bit of Destiny together.
Mm-hmm.
But from my perspective, the reason I love playing Destiny is like even when I was playing Doom, right? Like it's not Destiny, like it's not, and it's not trying to be. Like don't get me wrong, but like it's not trying to be. But it for me, it's just like the warmest, coziest hug, right? Like when you fire it back up and you're like, okay, if I move this way, things that I can do in this damn video game, I don't have any idea how I can do it. You know what I mean? It's like it is literally at this point I've played so much, it is a literal extension of like myself. Like the amount of times like I pull something off and I'm like, so just for super niche context for anyone who plays Destiny or whatever, Snowy and I, Ethan in our clan, we were doing a duo raid. So we were doing Root of Nightmares, just two of us. And we were going through and we were in the third encounter and there was this thing that happened. I actually put a clip up on my like gaming YouTube where I had a enemy that they don't have a parry in there, but like one of the phalanx enemies that have a big shield, literally I sword swipe, went flying across the map, and then it parried me at the same time and sent me flying, and I was able to save it in like the most miraculous manner ever. And that was a literal like extension, just like out of bodies like situation. And so it's just one of these things, like I've never played a game that you could do that and like express yourself in that way, and there's so many like little creative things. But at the same time, it's just, dude, right now they're caught up in the, I don't know if you guys have seen any, like if it trickles onto any of your timelines or stuff, but like about the legal battles they're in right now. Like they're in multiple things, and this isn't even the plagiarism thing isn't even like a legal thing at this point. She just put it out there, and it had like earlier this week it had like 10 million views, her original tweet, when she had less than 10,000 followers like when she originally did it. They're in a legal battle with someone who says that they stole the Red War campaign. So like for Destiny 2, the base campaign, this guy says that they stole it from him. The problem is they don't have that game anymore. They have now announced that they don't have, so they have taken the base campaign in the base game from Destiny 2. What would have came on, quote unquote, came on the disc when you bought it, you can't play that anymore. And the problem is they can't run it anymore. They have like source files, but they've changed the engine so much, they literally have had to announce in court that they can't run that anymore. And they may lose this legal battle, not because they did or did not steal this. It's because they cannot prove they didn't steal it without a shadow of a doubt. And it's kind of this situation where like it'll probably somehow get resolved or do whatever. But like they tried to turn in information from like Destiny Wikipedia site and like YouTube channels and stuff like this to prove. And they're like, no, this isn't the content we're talking about. We're not, because the original findings of the court case, like what the guy submitted was about the game, not about like this YouTube video that's of the game. And the judge is like, what is this? This isn't, this isn't the game. This isn't running on a console or whatever, like he said it would. And they're like scrambling right now. It's like, what can I even do? We can't run it. We can't play it. We've changed the engine so much. So
that's another thing is I own a game that I can't play the original campaign of.
Right.
Like that's kind of wild. But to be fair, it's been years, and the amount of content that they've cycled in, I mean, like it's a totally different game.
Yeah.
You get I still feel like after all of this, I still feel like I got my money's worth.
Sure.
Like, for sure.
Yeah,
like,
and that's not even the. I guess that's not even the thing. But the problem is they've not gotten the money out of us that they need, because it's not sustainable for them. It feels like every quarter we're talking about like, is Bungie going down, doing whatever. Every expansion that comes out, you see is like, oh, this is make or break for Bungie, and I'm like, I have to agree with you every single time, because I'm like, they're under Sony, but like Sony's closing studios and divesting.
All right.
Dude, it's not beyond the shadow of possibility that they say, hey, you know what, Destiny 2, like we're gonna shut it down after this point, because I feel like if they were gonna do something with the IP, as in like movies or TV or something like that, I think they've already gone down the path. That's my thing. I think they've already tried to endeavor down it, and I think they failed. I think because like I don't know if you remember, Walker, but like Luke Smith and them, when they moved them off the game, he was the original director for Destiny 2. When they moved him off the game, he was supposed to be like expanding Destiny in the universe and all this stuff, and they're like divesting this stuff. So, Nick, how does that make you, like, from the outside looking in? I know you're not nearly as invested as we are in the future of Bungie, but like from a concept of like, dude, they're doing a live stream. So like after this all came out, they did a live stream, and I think it's from the Ozymandias like poem or whatever, they have a tagline for the game that says like, escape will make me God. That's like a tagline for Marathon. Dude, just everyone's spamming in the Twitch chat, plagiarism will make me God, like over and over again. Like thousands of those messages come through. Like what would even go through your head? Like, you know, if you were in that role, like, do you have any concept of like, what would you do? What should Bungie do in this instance? They're like backs against the rope, and like they just keep taking haymaker.
I mean, from a business perspective, it's hard to feel bad for them. Well, like, you're running on this model that's been quote unquote unsustainable for how long, right? They keep saying it's make or break, but they keep putting out. So something's working, sort of, but like I don't know, at what point do you just overhaul it all and be like, hey, everybody that's in charge at Bungie, go get another job because you suck. Let's bring, you know, somebody in who can right the ship. Maybe that's all right. Destiny 2, it's been real, but we're gonna actually look into like a Destiny 3 or something. You know, I guess you have Marathon that's supposed to be like the new hotness, right? But you get lazy art people or devs or whatever ripping off people's content, which that's a hard position because you can't fix that with like getting rid of people, because that's what caused the problem in the first place. You got rid of a bunch of people. Now these guys don't have time to make their own, so they're just stealing it from other people.
Sounds like a cultural problem broadly,
for sure.
Yeah.
Like I want them to succeed so badly because they make a damn good game, but it seems like they're just in this like frenetic loop of trying to up the previous thing that got. And then
maybe they should like reach out to Phil Spencer or something, see what he thinks.
Yeah, I mean. But Microsoft is laying people off like crazy too. You know, like they're bringing people in, and because they found out after COVID, like, oh, I tell shareholders that I'm cutting 3% of my company, my stock goes up 6%. You know, like that kind of thing. And that's the cycle we're in now. And so it, like, you know, and the thing is too, like, we know people. Like we have people in our Discord server or people we've talked to and things like that work at Bungie that have connections to like literally in Bungie. Like I don't want them to fail. Like obviously I love playing Destiny. I love making content about Destiny. I love, you know, having a group of friends. I mean, it has given me some insanely close friends that, I mean, we wouldn't be recording this had not having COVID happen, but like we started playing Destiny during COVID. And it's one of those things where, you know, having those connections, I was talking with my parents when they came to visit a couple weeks ago. It's just like, they're like, yeah, you know, do you have like, I don't know. I don't even remember the context of what we were talking about. It just came up that we were like, yeah, we got friends in Kansas City and, you know, and now we're traveling to Maine and doing all this stuff. And, you know, having people fly in for my 30th birthday and, you know, like from Canada and all. I mean, it's crazy, man. And so I'm super, super happy with all that stuff. I just find it very, very difficult. And I think you guys nailed it on the head. It was saying like, it's a cultural thing. And I don't know what that is. I don't know where that is, right? Like, it's odd that strain keeps going because, you know, like the same company, it feels like it's the same company that said like, hey, F you, Microsoft, like we're going on our own, do whatever. And again, I don't know the thing, but that feels the same, like kind of has the same energy as that. And then the Activision thing, even though we know a lot of the leadership that were there during the Activision thing, they're gone. Like they got paid out, they hit the road, and now they're with Sony, and I'm like, I think they're at the end of the line, and I'm concerned about it. You know what I mean? Like, is Sony gonna want to give up Destiny 2? Like, because it does still make money, but it's just not like this. It's not this huge profit center they thought it was going to be. And then the other piece of it is, Sony had this initiative years ago where they're like, hey, we're going to try to do all these live service games. Well, the only one that's come to fruition is Helldivers, and they didn't even make it. It was a second party, and they helped publish it, but they had nothing really to do with the making of Helldivers 2. And so
all of the games that they've released have been pretty much dog water.
Dude. And so, we had
I forgot Concord existed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they literally
did it really?
Did they?
Arguably not, honestly.
Yeah, they turned it around, and then they pulled it back so fast and stuff. So I guess I'm kind of just venting, right? Like we talked early on when we started doing this podcast. This is our therapy sessions. Like get in here and talk. I'm concerned about the future of Bungie. I feel like I'm just feeding into this negativity machine surrounding them, but they, unfortunately, like I said earlier, it's like this, the rake is on the ground. They keep stepping on it, hitting themselves square between the eyes, and they can't see straight at this point. And so at the same time, I'm super excited about the next expansion that's going to be coming out for Destiny 2.
That's good.
In July. But, and so it's like, man, I wish that they could just, and like a lot of the changes they're bringing to Destiny 2 with this new expansion would have gone down so smooth had they just said, hey, we're going to take another year and a half. We're going to let the final shape linger. We're going to let it be what it is. And we're going to do a Destiny 3. A lot of the changes they're making, I feel like could have rolled into. But the problem is I don't think they have enough road. I don't think they have enough, like a runway in front of them to do that.
Game in that way.
So, yeah, man, that's kind of where I come down on it.
It really smacks of sort of frantic, trying to get their feet underneath them in some way. And I think it's kind of symptomatic of the nature of the live service game, right? Like, you look at Baldur's Gate, they did 8 patches, and then they said, we're done. Thanks for playing. Enjoy yourselves. Open it up to all the money you could ever want. Knock yourselves out. We are not touching this again.
By the way, Baldur's Gate is on sale on Steam right now.
Absolutely.
Right now.
It's literally worth any amount of money if you like Dungeons and Dragons. It's an incredible game. But the nature of Destiny, the last decade of play and promises are, new expansions very regularly, and there's some tight ass deadlines to hit.
Yeah.
Every single year, twice a year, 3 times a year for a while. Like, it's hard not to see it being really challenging. And then, you have to fire people and the financials and so on and so forth. I really empathize. I do. But you also can't keep making mistakes forever.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. When it came out so they had like the huge layoffs after the final shape came out, and it came out as like, we already knew we were laying people off, right? Like they didn't know they were getting laid off, obviously, but like we knew it would have had to be the best selling game of the year, right? Like it would have had to be like Call of Duty out and all these different things, and it just was never going to be that. And it did phenomenal, but I don't even think it was the best selling. So I think it ended up selling better than Lightfall, but Lightfall got hyped way more than the final shape did.
Too. It's all great. I like
that. The campaign and the sentiment around it at the time, I like what came out of it, but the sentiment around the time was like, this campaign, like it just totally felt like just side content, right? Like they took us, like we were heading towards this grand conflict and everything, and he's like, witnessing our solar system, and all of a sudden we're just gone. But anyways, it was less about that. Like, I remember when Lightfall came out and they had like the grapple and strand and all this stuff. I remember like Tim the Tap Man firing up Destiny 2 on the day it came out. Like, that dude hadn't played since Destiny 2 vanilla. It's like that ain't even the same game at that point. But that's how wide it was going. I saw next to none of that for the Final Shape, like when it came out. And the Final Shape was absolutely incredible. And it's just one of those things, like, I love that campaign. So I don't know. I wish the best for him. I feel very strongly about it. I hope the best for what they have going on. I feel like it's going to get in a situation where, kind of, Nick, like what you said, it's like they need to just like tell leadership to GTFO. They've already done that to some extent with like support staff and things like that, and like taking on like HR duties and stuff like that. I think they need to do more. I think they need to go in and clean house. And there's a big conversation to be had. Is like, okay, well, is that what they bought Bungie for? Right? Like they bought Bungie to be like, because there was this thing that came out like when they were purchased that was like, oh, they're gonna be like our live service liaisons. They are the expert at it. They know how to do this. So they're the ones who killed like a nearly fully finished Last of Us live service game that was announced like plenty of years ahead and stuff. They were essentially the driving force to getting it canceled because they let Naughty Dog know how difficult it was going to be for them to, continue to run it and update it. But people played that game. Like that was a real playable game, whether it was in an alpha or a beta setting, but like people played that game. And that's probably one of the few ones that would have actually done well, and they just canceled it. You know what I mean? And so
live service is also just hard, to be completely fair.
For sure.
I think Destiny's also gotten itself into a little bit of like, you reach the end of the story and then like, what's next? I know the expansions have been good and stuff, but like, they got Game of Thrones symptoms real bad, right? A little bit. I firmly believe that like all good things must end, and you need to like pick an end. You need to stop and then do something else. And that's just not that's not how live service is.
Yeah. Well, that's not how like the media landscape is either. I mean, think Marvel, think like that kind of. It's like,
well, look what happened to Marvel.
I know.
If ever there was a time to stop, it was before now for Marvel. They might get us. They might get us back. I heard Thunderbolts is good.
Thunderbolts is very good.
They might get us back with Fantastic Four, but goddamn,
I'm sure they're gonna make good movies. They're gonna make good movies.
They're not gonna make movies as good as the first Iron Man.
Meteoric.
Yeah.
It was. I have never in my life experienced something like that. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of. You're just comparing it to that.
Listen,
they're good. It's all good. I'm sure it's good.
Yeah.
You make one of the best action franchises ever, and then your movie is literally called Endgame, and then you make 45 other movies after that.
Okay, but
you make another movie where it's not even the original Captain America, and Harrison Ford turns into the Red Hulk. Like, what are we doing here?
Harrison Ford's not even Indiana Jones anymore. Why is he a Red Hulk?
Why is he hulking out? Like, don't.
He's not even alive in Star Wars.
They can't just stop, right? Like, what is Disney can do? Okay, we're done. It's closed the most, profitable franchise on the.
I don't know, dude.
It's naive to say that of me, right? Like, from an artistic perspective, yes. From like a financial perspective, I understand, but.
Have you guys
have to buy more yachts? I get it.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you guys? Let's wrap up on this. It's a little lighter. I've lamented Bungie enough. Have you guys seen the new trailer for James Gunn's Superman?
I'm not. I'm trying to go in like blind.
Good. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on in it, but like it is much lighter. It was so funny that like a lot of the sentiment, because if you're not familiar or someone at home's not familiar, like the Zack Snyder verse was so dark and gritty and all that stuff, and like I like the movies. Like, I think they're fine. Like, I kind of liked like Ben Affleck's Batman in that world and like how brutalist he was, like, and stuff like that. But this is. Someone was like, "Ooh, it looks like someone just took a comic book and put it in the movies." Like, what? Like they were like being the complete opposite
sure,
of
yeah.
that, like making that as if it was a bad thing, because it does. It's so colorful, do whatever. There's a part in it where he's just like flying, and you don't even see who he's talking to at the time, but he says like Superman says like, "Hey buddy, my eyes are up here," or "Eyes up here," and then he like flies away. And I saw someone quote tweet that today and say, "Oh, that's weird. That guy I saw in the bathroom earlier must have been a real big Superman fan." And like it's like I don't think that's why he was saying that in the bathroom.
Oh no.
Yeah, but that comes out July 11th. I'm really, really excited. And then Fantastic Four comes out in July as well. So I'm excited to see both of those.
I'm excited for Fantastic Four too. I want, I want the movies to be good. I want them to succeed and want the game to succeed. And I just want people to realize you can do fun, original things and take those risks. And sometimes they fuck up, but you don't need to keep beating the dead horse.
Yeah, but a lot of times funding doesn't show up. Like for those things,
true.
Like Sinners,
that's
Sinners original, like Sinners just came out. That's one of like the best performing like original quote unquote IPs. But Ryan Coogler has had so many bangers, and he did 2 Black Panther movies and like all this other stuff before to get that. So like I know like Sam in our Scream in our chat, he was talking about like hoping that he would get his like his whatever you want to. He used some sort of term to it, but like basically, it was like the blank check movie.
Yeah, carte blanche.
Yeah,
we trust you to make something cool on your own.
Yeah, and so he feels like this doing Sinners has now taken him to that place where whatever next thing he wants to endeavor and do like would take him to that. However, what's interesting is he's also directing an Iron Heart, which is like a Ironheart TV show, which is like it's a her name's Riri Williams in the I think her last name's Williams in the book or in the comic books. Basically, it's a young black girl who is super smart, goes to MIT, and then essentially makes an Iron Man suit, but like instead of like the Iron Man like circle and the heart, it's like a literal heart, and then like it's real badass and stuff. So it's just kind of like an Iron Man spin-off type deal. He directed that, but it has very middling, like, I don't know, the trailers and stuff. Like, people have not been very excited about it, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, sounds like she had all the tools at her disposal, but Tony Stark made that in a cave with a box of scraps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that I can't say it enough, but the first Iron Man movie just ripped so hard.
Yeah.
It was like, everybody's like, oh, superhero movie, and then they're watching it like, oh, we need more superhero movies.
And then every Marvel movie that came out, well, let's say this, by the time they got closer to like the Avengers, like the actual like first Avengers movie, once you got past there, Iron Man 1 and 2 got better. Like when you look back and you're like the world they set up in doing that and stuff. So when I was young, I actually really liked the original like Edward Norton Hulk.
Yeah.
Like
I thought it was great.
Yeah. I really
just
liked
the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Right? Yeah.
Very fun. Had a good time.
I remember vividly the Taco Bell and then Godzilla collab when you had the little Chihuahua. I said, I think I need a bigger box.
Man, I would kill. I would probably literally kill for a Godzilla Taco Bell collab these days.
Dude, that what was it, that 70th anniversary like thing we just saw where Godzilla had the green atomic breath? Oh,
yeah.
Ooh. I need it. I was hoping that was a film announcement or like a short whatever. I was hoping that was an actual thing. I think it was just a.
Well, I mean, Toho's working on a sequel to -1, right? Isn't that like known?
I'm not sure. I'm not in that world, so like all this Bungie stuff's taking up my timeline stuff. So that would be your side.
I know. So as far as like the MonsterVerse side with like Godzilla versus King Kong and all that nonsense. There's a TV show that's called Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and they're working on a season 2, which I'm very excited
That's
for.
Apple TV, right?
Yes. Or, just on my Plex server.
or Nick Plex.
Nick would never do anything illegal.
No. But you can access it there. Yeah. So apparently, this article was written last month, last month. That we already know that the director has been tapped to helm a new Godzilla movie for Toho following the gargantuan success of 2023 Godzilla -1.
So good.
The new entry into the series, which is weird phrasing, will be a direct sequel. So, hell yeah.
It's going to be 0.
Guys, yeah, Godzilla 0.
And... Wait a second.
No, I hope they do
like
Xbox.
How the Battlefield games are just going all over the place.
Yeah, I hope they do Xbox names. It's Godzilla 360 or whatever.
Oh no.
I like that joke. Let's wrap up on that one, boys. That was good. So yeah, well, if you're still hanging out with us tonight, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. I will plug the Discord now if you would like to come hang out with us, talk about anything. We post everything about sports ball, wilderness, Midwest dad vibe things, whatever you're doing. bit.ly/ForcedToPod Discord. You'll be able to find it that way. You can join the conversation there. And then, yeah, like, share, subscribe. Anything you're doing is really appreciated. So until next time, be blessed.